Yo, what's going on guys, it's Bertrude, welcome back to the channel. I've got something a little bit different for you with this video. This is one long drawn out invasion with this duo, and this really does turn into a bit of a war of both the body and the mind. I really did like this invasion because it kind of demonstrates really well my whole ethos when it comes to making builds and invading in Elden Ring, and that is that unique builds lead to unique invasions. And what I mean by that is that if you've got a build with a specific kit, a limited kit, something that's not kitted out for every situation, something that only uses a few specific weapons and the whole build is built around those weapons or those spells, then that will lead to unique interactions in every invasion. Each invasion session, when you move on to a different character, if they're built around a certain set of items or a certain set of spells, each of those invasions will be different from the next, and that is what gives me life in Elden Ring. That's what keeps me coming back invading. That is what has kept me here for 2 years invading solid on this game. It's that every single one of my builds are different, every single one of my builds is unique, and every time I move on to a new build it creates a new situation and it freshens the game up and makes me look at different ways I can approach each situation. So I've invaded this duo, and all of a sudden they've become very passive, just staying at the top of the hill, and there's a good reason for that. That's because they've cleared all the PvE at the top of this little hill that we're on, but eventually I realised that there's a big giant further down the hill that they're obviously nervous to get too close towards. So that is kind of working in my favour a little bit, because I know that if I just back up down this hill they're not going to chase me. So if things get a little bit tense, if I take some big damage, I know that I can just back up and they're going to be very hesitant to chase me down the hill. Just to give you a little bit of information about this build, this is the Rotten Cleric and it's a level 40 build. If you want more of a rundown behind the lore of this build and more information about all the specific stats, just go and check out the last video that I released. That was the Rotten Cleric's debut video, and I go into a lot more detail about the build in that one. But to summarise the build, we're a Scarlet Rot build. We're using the Rotten Crystal weapons, the sword and the spear, although in this invasion we mostly use 2 swords. We've also got the coiled shield in our left hand and we've got a crossbow in our right hand in our second weapon slots. So we've invaded this duo, and these two are by no means bad players. They've got some good builds. If you pay attention to the damage I'm dealing, you can see that they've got a good vigour pool between them. They're not taking too much damage and they're staying very close to each other, you know, they're backing each other up really well and they're not letting me have too much space to get too many attacks in. So I soon realised in this invasion that they're playing passive, I'm not doing too much raw damage, and as you can see there from that little part of the invasion, if I get caught in the blender between these two, they're capable of doing a lot of damage to me. So at the start of the video I spoke a little bit about, you know, a unique build leading to a unique invasion, and this is where that kind of starts to come into play in this invasion now. So I know that I'm in for a long invasion. I could just run in and try and do as much damage as I could, try and maybe pick one of them off, but I know, you know, just with how the invasion's gone so far, I know that I'm going to get blended because they're staying so close together. And just by the nature of the kit that I'm using, the weapons that I'm using, the Rotten Crystal swords, they're not putting out too much raw damage, so I know that they're just going to out damage me in pretty much every engagement. So I've got to start using my brains. I've got to not play the game that they want to play. They keep backing off up the hill, you can see now, but I'm just kind of staying close to them. I'm trying to keep them engaged. I don't want them to just run off. I do want them to stay close by so I can get in there and get some damage when I can. But you know, I'm not putting out too much raw damage, so I've got to play the long game in this invasion. And by that I mean taking advantage of the kit that this build is designed around, and that is the poison and the Scarlet Rot. So I've got to just kind of bide my time. I've got to use the coil shield to inflict poison. I've got to use the Scarlet Rot on my sword to try and inflict them with that and get the health ticking down, and that is the only way I'm going to win this invasion, because I'm not going to do it when it comes to raw damage. Now if I had a build that was, say, just a pure strength build, with you know, what's something that everyone uses, the Stormhawk axe. Yeah, everyone always has a build that is just a pure strength build. It's got about 20 different weapons on it. Every Ash of War that you could want, it's got the Stormhawk axe, which everyone always just turns to in this kind of situation. They just run in, do a bit of damage, draw them in, switch to the Stormhawk axe, do that big powerful damaging Ash of War, and it's invasion done. And don't get me wrong guys, that is absolutely fine. I've got nothing against that. I use the Stormhawk axe myself on an electric build that I've got. But what I'm saying is that particular weapon is only kind of available when I rotate round to that character. And it makes it fresh, and it gives that character something that he could deal with this invasion differently to the Rotten Cleric. This is what I'm kind of getting at. So, you know, I could have just done that if I had that kit available to me on this invasion, but I don't. I've got to work with what I've got, and what I've got is Scarlet Rot and Poison. So I've got to pace the whole fight around inflicting the tick damage on these two and letting the health slowly drain away while keeping them engaged and trying to keep them rotted and poisoned as much as possible. Another part of the kit that this build has is the crossbow, which comes in really handy in this invasion when these two start being a little bit too passive and staying at long range like they have been doing. Now granted, the crossbow with the explosive bolts, it doesn't do a hell of a lot of damage, but what it does do is fire quick and fire accurately. Although, you know, I will definitely hold my hands up and admit that I've whiffed a few shots, locked on and not locked on, trying to free aim it. But still, you know, it's a harassment tool. It makes them get on the toes and it gets them moving. And like I say, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but they don't want to keep getting hit with it. The damage that it does do, it builds up. And that's what I want, you know. I just want them to keep taking damage, whether it's through poison or whether it's through the small amount of damage that the crossbow does. Now again, this comes round to having that unique kit. On a different build, maybe I'd have had the jar cannon, and that would have been a lot more effective when they were at long ranges on this invasion. It will do a lot more damage. Or maybe if someone had a great bow and they had the rain of arrows, you know, you see that a lot as well. You know, that would have probably ended the invasion by now as well, just harassment with a great bow, sorry. But this build doesn't have that available, that's what I'm saying, so it's got to try to make do and make the invasion work with the kit that it's got. And that, for me, that is the crossbow on this one, and it's coming really handy, like I say, at harassing them when they're at the top of the hill and I'm at the bottom of the hill. It's a way that I can keep doing a little bit of damage to keep them using the heals and keep them draining the health away. Now I'm starting to make a bit of progress. You can see the summon here is very low health. I know that he's no more heals left. It's been a long time coming, but I finally done enough tick damage on him there to take the summon out. My plans come to fruition eventually, and he's dead, and now it's just a one-on-one with me and the host. I'm going to let the invasion play out from here, guys, but I hope that everything I've been chatting about in this video kind of makes sense. I don't want to come across like I'm preaching in any way whatsoever. It's just kind of me discussing my ethos on invasions in Elden Ring. I know there's a few like-minded invaders out there as well, but then there's also more kind of try-hardy type invaders who have that big powerful kit all around and they use the same build over and over. But for me that just maybe gets a little bit repetitive, but this is just how I like to do things, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it, hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy. Like I said, I'll let this one play out, but I'll see you all in the next video. One last little thing to mention, guys, there's a few tea bags at the end of this invasion, but that was just me caught up in the moment, having a bit of fun, kind of getting my own back for all the tea bagging the host and his summon were doing throughout the invasion. I actually messaged this guy afterwards and said, you know, sorry about the tea bags, mate, it's all in good fun. And we just had a nice little chat, and it's just GG's all round. Really fun invasion. But yeah, guys, take it easy, and I'll see you all next time.